So it's texture time. Here we go. The idea here is there's lots of really cool tools out there. There's also ridiculously cool smoothers and all kinds of stuff. But I made all of this guy with this. I popped these in. Could be scales for my cool fish shark here. But the idea is I took my time with it. I made a pattern out of it. Because if I don't make a pattern, it just looks like you're stabbing your project with things. I made these perfect spheres by using this, stabbing it, and then actually removing the clay. You should definitely try to add clay to make texture. It really works great. Make sure you score and slip before you actually add these. You got to score and slip everything, even these little guys. Otherwise, they just fall right off. If you wanted to do some fur or anything like that, you got to think about that. You could use a fork for it. You can do some really cool stuff. But realize that if you had a dog and you were actually putting fur on it and you went all the way down the back of the dog and down the tail, that dog would have ridiculously long fur. So what you need to do is you got to realize that fur or hair usually goes in a direction for a certain length. So you got to actually take your time with it and try to create texture that goes in a direction just like your dog's hair would go or fur would go in a direction. If you just go crazy with it, it's going to look like you dragged a fork across your project, even though that's exactly what you're doing. So you got to make sure you take your time with it. Another cool hint is if you are trying to create eyeballs. It is very hard to create eyeballs the exact same size. But most of the time people like try to stick this on like this, and that's a weird looking eyeball. So what you do is you make a sphere, and then what you can do is you can cut that in half. And if you cut that in half, then you have two half spheres that are about the exact same size that you could then score and slip on the outside. Another really cool tool is a natural sponge. And the idea here is this natural sponge they're really expensive, so you got to be careful with them. Don't rip them or anything. What you do is you get them wet. So you get them wet, but you need to squeeze out any extra water and extra clay. We got to squeeze that out, otherwise your project will get too wet and it'll start falling apart. So I got a bunch of scratches right here on my fish / shark, whatever I'm going to call it. And what I can do really cool is I can use this and actually smooth it out. I can go multiple ways, but it makes a really nice smooth pattern. I can smooth out the fins a little bit, smooth out the face a little bit before I make some eyeballs, but I can use that. The problem with it is it gets a lot of clay in it. So what you got to do is you got to wash out that clay. And you could do that in the sink, you could do that right here, but the idea is you got to get all that clay out, otherwise this just hardens up. Make sure you squeeze the water out. When these go back away, they go back in the little container that's over by the stainless steel paper towel dispenser that's in the back of the room. That's where these go. There's some cool tools back there, some little guys. You just need to take your time with the texture, and good luck.